G'day guys, Grant from Four Wheeling in New South Wales. Well, the cooler weather is here, and what do we like best when camping in cool weather? A good fire. Either a fire pit or an open fire. You cannot beat the sounds, the smell and the warmth that a fire brings. So on this episode of Product Spotlight Info, I've got a new fire pit to check out. I know a few people have said that I'm starting to collect them. I do have about 4 or 5 of them, but I'm not necessarily keeping them all. So this one was sent to me by a company called Lifedoo. I did a video on their previous model, which I'll put links below. This is a new improved model. They've obviously sent out a heap of fire pits to customers, and they've taken on board a bit of feedback of what can be improved on the previous model. So without further ado, I'll get this unboxed and we'll have a look at it. I think they've probably done pretty well with the changes to this. So anyway, let's rip into it and we'll check it out. Now, just a quick thing, obviously I would much prefer do this review out in the bush where I can test it and give it a good run, but we are still in the middle of the COVID restrictions with Greater Sydney lockdown, so hence had to film it in the shed. It's about to bucket down rain outside, so obviously I can't do it out there at the moment, and I really want to get this video out. I have had this for a few weeks now, and because of COVID I just haven't been able to go and shoot it, so hence in the garage, but let's rip in. Alright, so first of all, these came with the box. Now I don't know if this is part of their new fire pit or they just sent this to me as an extra. I'm not quite sure, they didn't say, but obviously a little Lifedoo t-shirt there and a pair of gloves, which you can never beat a good pair of gloves when you're using obviously a fire pit or your hot camping oven. So yeah, Lifedoo got the little silicone dots on there for a bit of extra grip, so be sure to test those out. We're going to do a cook up later tonight actually, so for a separate video, but we'll give those a whirl and see how well they work. Alright, so this is the new pit. Alrighty, let's have a look. Now it'll be interesting to see exactly what differences they've made or what things they've added to improve on the previous design. Okay, so it looks like they have put or included a base in it now. That was probably the biggest comment on the original one, was they need a base on there to stop the coal dust and soot from falling down on the grass, because that's the whole thing with a fire pit. You want to have it up off the ground so that when you're packed up camp and you leave, no one knows you've been there. It's all about leaving no trace when we are out in the bush. So by having this guard under it, which the previous model didn't have, it may help to alleviate a lot of that dust and soot left behind. So that's obviously your gal base. We'll set this up and see what the difference is, eh? Now the other version, which you'll see if you've watched that clip or you check it out, the other version simply had slots down in here on an angle on both sides, and the sides slid down in. They had a slot in them as well, so they sort of slid down into each other. This one though doesn't have the slots in it, so now this one looks like it's a slightly different design. Yeah, okay, so that pokes through. Obviously the cuts don't go all the way down. They just slot in like so, like that. And then a bit like when you're setting your awning up, you've got to juggle it a little bit. And then those 2 holes there line up. And those 2 there look like they line up. Okay. Start again. I'm not going to lie, this one's certainly a bit harder to set up than the previous model. Might flip it up that way and see. Yeah, I think that's the trick to it, would be to... Okay, so that's obviously that's the easiest, best way to set it up, would be to put a base on so that these two sides flare out a little bit, and then you can obviously get your end plate on, and there you have it. Alright, I'll just redo that just to show the easiest way to set it up, because yeah, that was certainly a little bit harder than their original design. If we go like that, like so. So my suggestion would be rock up to camp, slot that in there like so. One, slot your next one in. Two, while they flare out on their own, grab your end. You can easily line up the holes like so, there, and that side, and that's done. And then flip it over, locks in. Cool. Now they obviously give you a couple of slots in there for different adjustment depending on, I guess, what size timber you're using, because that cutout in the bottom is quite wide, so it's going to let dust and soot through, and potentially your smaller timbers. So it's alright, I take that back. They've given you this little grate, which looks like it sits down in the bottom, in the holes, which I'll spin that around and show you, because my thought straight up was, yeah, that gap in the bottom is way too big, but if that slots down in there like so, when you stand that up, that becomes base to hold your timber in. I'm assuming that's what that's for. Yeah, well, looks like that works. So that holds the timber in and stops your timber falling through, so only ash is going to get through. Obviously these three bars, I'm assuming, are some sort of cooking apparatus, maybe to hold your, I'd say that, possibly, to hold that on maybe. Yeah, sit that on, there you go. So you can obviously cook on it as well. I guess you could go that way also if you wanted to keep a bit of wood going there and then dye the heat down here, potentially. And obviously you can move that in closer depending on what you're using. Pull them together like that, close together, and then you could sit a small billy on there, or even take one out and have a smaller billy, you know, a pot for boiling water for your showers or whatever. So yeah, it's a clever design. They've, as I said, it looks like they've taken on board the feedback from the original fire pit that they sort of flooded the market with regarding that base section. Now what I'll do, I'll see what the adjustment does. So if we pop these out like so, and then these ends, they can go into there, which I would say makes a smaller gap in the bottom looking at it. And they go down into there like so, and then that one will slot in there, that one will slot in there, and flip it over. Yeah, so it does, it makes a lot smaller gap, as you can see there in the base. And again, you've got the grill plate for in the bottom, and that slots in the holes again to stop your timbers falling through. So clever design actually. It's good that they've made a few changes to it. And then yeah, that's your gal base plate there. Sit that in there, and that way once you're done camping, all your soot and ash that's fallen through there in the bottom, you can tip it into a bag or dig a hole and bury it need be, where depending on where you're camping. So that's really cool. I like that design. So obviously that can sit straight on there like so, or as I said, you've got the three rods there that if you wanted to do maybe things like skewers, if you had metal skewers or kebabs or something that you wanted to cook on there, you can just adjust those apart depending on what you're cooking up on there. So yeah, really good design, nice and lightweight. So the good thing is it folds down nice and flat. The only thing I would suggest to Lifedoo, and I know it's obviously, these are very price orientated, but throw a bag in or have an option as a carry bag, because most campers generally, when they're done for the weekend camping, they want to be able to just shop that in a bag, throw it in the back of their vehicle or trailer and take it home. They don't want to have to keep a sooty fire pit, you know, in the back of their vehicle or under the seat or in a camper trailer. Ideally you want a protective bag, and as I said, I know these pits are very cost effective, which I'll put a link below to their website and you'll see pricing on there. They are very very inexpensive to buy as a camping fire pit. However, if that's covered in soot or it gets a little bit rusty over time, you just don't want that in your vehicle. So Lifedoo, a little bit of feedback, throw a bag in as an option. You can either buy it separately or have it as a package deal. Yeah, pretty cool. It's got the Lifedoo laser etched plasma cut in there, so awesome. So there you go, folks. It's nice and flat pack. That's probably maybe 25 to 30 mil in overall height. They said all up probably 5 kilos maybe. They don't actually tell you on the box what it weighs. Well, Australia Post says according to that it's 8.26 kilos, so yeah, I guess it probably would be about 8 kilos. Alright, I'm going to shot this away. Put it back in its box and get it off to its rightful owner. So there you go, guys, the Lifedoo Phase 2 fire pit. Really well done. Good to see those few changes they've made to it, and hopefully in the future with a bit more feedback they may give that bag option. Thanks a lot for watching. I really appreciate the support. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. I really sincerely appreciate everyone watching, and I just hope everyone's staying safe through this COVID lockdown. I know it is a pain in the backside for everyone. As much as I want to get out on the weekends and do a bit of driving, we just can't at the moment. Lockdowns are in place. I've had my vehicle now for a few months and we've only been bush twice. So anyway, I'm going to sticky tape this box up and get it off to its rightful owner. I'm actually giving this one away to a very deserving friend of mine who wants a fire pit. So Mario, it's coming your way, mate. We're going to get this fire going shortly and cook up a meal. So thanks everyone, stay safe, and hopefully once this bloody COVID's out of the way and numbers are down and restrictions are off, we can maybe see us out there on the track. We are going to try and do a tag-along tour, which we were trying to do this year, but that got all sort of thrown into a bit of chaos. So anyway, make sure you follow us on Facebook. That is the quickest way for updates and any changes, etc. Cheers guys, all the best and stay safe. Remember, when we are allowed, stress less, camp more. Catch you later.